Hallo zusammen! As you might be able to tell in case you've watched my previous videos, well, this looks slightly different because I actually upgraded my equipment a little bit. I bought 2 new lights, one here and one there, so the lighting is different. I hope it's okay. I'm kind of experimenting with it still. And what is even more than just okay is the new single by Die Ärzte, True Romance. But don't get fooled here, because even though it carries an English title, it actually is a German song. So what is it about? What do the German lyrics translate to in English? And what does it mean linguistically? What is linguistically interesting about this one? Let's analyze this one. True Romance is the second single of the 13th studio album Hell by Die Ärzte, which will be released on October 23rd. The song tells about how closely connected, others would say how addicted, we are and we have become to our smartphones, artificial intelligence, and even how we have a tendency to humanize AI, such as Alexa or Siri, in our everyday lives these days. The song was written by singer and guitarist Farin Urlaub, who is my favorite member of the trio, even though I like all of them, of course. It begins with the first verse. Ein lauschiger Abend, für alles ist gesorgt. Die Akkus geladen, der Rotwein schon entkorkt. Die Sichel des Mondes mischt sich mit Kerzenlicht, denn wir sind zu zweit hier, mein Telefon und ich. The first line makes use of the rather rare yet totally fitting German adjective lauschig, cozy or snug. Even though the first half of the second line already hints at the little twist here, it's the end of line 4 which truly reveals it, who or what the so to speak loving couple actually is here. Das Telefon, Singular, die Telefone, Plural, which is a general term about all kinds of phones, but we usually say das Handy whenever we refer to our smartphone, our phone, cell phone that is. Line 3 begins with the phrase Die Sichel des Mondes, which usually would get referred to as der Sichelmond, the crescent moon, for die Sichel, singular, die Sicheln, plural, the sickle, and der Mond, singular, die Monde, plural, the moon. Now to the highly catchy chorus, let alone mentioning the guitar riff that runs throughout the song. So tasty. Hey Siri, erzähl mir über Sex mit Alexa. Die tut so prüde, das macht die doch extra. Und in Wirklichkeit ist sie eine echte Drecksa. Der Reim war schlecht, beschwer dich beim Texter. Es gibt nicht viele Reime auf Alexa. As usual in my lyrics explanations and translations, I want to stay as faithful to the original German lyrics as possible, which also means that I'm gonna translate things rather literally in order to really show what they mean out of learning purposes, so to speak. And in this case, I purposely try to come up with slightly fitting English rhymes to Alexa as well, because that's a premise of the chorus. Ironically though, in a way, because the lyrical eye also tells us that there aren't so many rhymes to Alexa. This really leads to something that I immensely admire about Farin Urlaub, because, well, he's not only a great musician in the sense of he has a sense for catchy melodies, great riffs even, and great songwriting in general, but as a lyricist he also manages to balance things between really funny bits here and there and really serious topics on the other side, sometimes even in the same song. And he also loves to play with words, with meanings, with ambiguity, and that is also the case in this tune. Line 3 ends with an incomplete German word, Drecksa, with a long stretched A, which isn't the case in the actual word. This word only ends at the beginning of line 4, where the last vowel and letter U gets verbalized. Why is that though? Well, we learn about the purpose of this really unexpected but linguistically cool wordplay. They try to come up with rhymes to Alexa, more precisely to the prominent A vowel at the end of it. The German noun die Drecksau, singular, die Drecksäue, plural, the dirty skunk or motherfucker, literally dirt sow, is used to referring to Alexa, how she seems to be prude. Which is why in turn the lyrical eye is asking Siri to say something about sex with Alexa, how that is like. Because of course Alexa is an AI, which is a really neutral way of communication. But of course people act as if she was a real person at times. And of course, one of the twists is that the lyrical eye asks Siri what it's like to have sex with Alexa, another AI, and how, a really cool way of showing how we tend to humanize those kinds of AIs. However, as you can see, Drecksau ends in the vowel U, which doesn't rhyme with A in Alexa. That's why Farin Urlaub, being the singer interpreting the lyrics, delays the verbalization of the U up to, the following line, the beginning of it. He even breaks the fourth wall by addressing this being the lyrics to a song, and the lyrical eye should complain to the writer, but of course that's him, the singer Farin Urlaub, who wrote the lyrics, so in my opinion that is so cool, that is classy. Verse 2 continues like this. Die Nacht umarmt uns, die Kerzen sind längst aus. Ich und mein Handy, wir sind allein zu Haus. Marvin Gaye singt und es knistert nicht nur das Vinyl. Ich habe hier alles, was ich vom Leben will. So you might enjoy learning German and also hearing German being spoken, verbalized. And you might also enjoy video games. Well, if both of that is the case, feel free to follow me on twitch.tv/DaveDurrenTV because that is my German Twitch channel where I play video games in German and I record Let's Plays there. I interact with you guys in the chat. That is also, it's just one of my favorite things to do besides teaching German. Playing video games and interacting with you guys. Of course, you can also find a clickable link to that stream channel in the video description down below. As it's the case with YouTube, following someone on Twitch is completely free, so feel free to join Team Dave on Twitch. twitch.tv/DaveDurrenTV. Thanks and see you there. Bis dann. My translation of the last two lines might sound a bit quirky here and there, which mainly has to do with an ambiguous German wordplay in line 3. The focal term is the conjugated verb knistert for the third person singular, Präsens indicative mode active of knistern, to crack, sizzle or creak, which in the context of playing vinyl, Marvin Gaye in this case, is a total common term that gets used along mentioning vinyl. In slang German, an expression like erotisches Knistern, erotic crackling, or es knistert, it crackles, means, erotic feelings are in the air or love is in the air. The second chorus ends the song lyrically, but it also features a really cool flamenco-like guitar solo. Hey Siri, google doch mal Sex mit Alexa und mach doch morgen bitte meiner Ex klar, dass sie für mich im Bett eine glatte 6 war. Und lass mir auch noch ein paar neue Tracks da, von meinem alter Ego H.P. Baxter und von Frank Zappa, diesem Seitenhexer. Die höre ich dann gemeinsam mit Alexa. Since the German language nowadays is full of different technologically related anglicisms, we also use the term Google as a verb these days. As you can see, all endings to the last words in each line rhyme with the A sound again, even though the spelling might differ. And that is quite typical for many German words that end in AR. The R usually doesn't get verbalized so clearly, if at all. It might as well be dropped completely. That is similar to the ending ER of many German nouns, which also gets verbalized like an A sound. Line 3 mentions glatte 6, which refers to the German grade system from 1 equal to grade A to 6 equal to grade F, the worst one, so to speak. So when someone says, das ist eine glatte 6, they mean it's the worst quality or outcome possible, the worst school grade F, a failure. Line 5 contains a recurring joke, a running gag so to speak among Die Ärzte fans and the musicians themselves even, because especially journalists that don't know too much about the band or the band members, how they look like and those kinds of things, or for instance when Farin Urlaub meets people in foreign countries or when foreigners meet him when he's on vacation, which he does a lot by the way, they sometimes think, oh yeah, I know you, I've seen you before, you are that, that Scooter guy from Scooter, the band, like the singer. No, he is not H.P. Baxter, and pretty much just like before with Drecksau, and the following line, he once again breaks the fourth wall in this case. Sometimes you think, okay, like that guy is writing those lyrics and they are autobiographical, which can be but doesn't have to be the case. The lyrical I in songs doesn't have to be the same person as the singer or the lyricist in a band. Not necessarily. He also pays tribute to Frank Zappa and refers to him being a Seitenhexer. Aside from this being a German Occasionalismus, an occasionalism meaning a word that is made up just for a specific purpose, context or situation, in this case the song and the lyrics, it's also a compound word, which is pretty much the most common way to create nouns in the German language, apart from maybe nominalizing verbs. It contains die Seite, singular, die Saiten, plural, the string, musically speaking, for instance guitar strings, which sounds exactly like die Seite, singular, die Saiten, plural, the page, but it's not to be confused with that one. And der Hexer, singular, die Hexer, plural, the Witcher. It is so catchy, it just has those Die Ärzte ingredients and also unexpected surprises, not only linguistically. I guess people would usually expect a really rocky Die Ärzte song because that is their typical style, punk rock or alternative rock with a punky edge to it here and there. But every now and then they also make other types of songs. In this case, they also incorporated some flamenco. I'm really looking forward to that new album, by the way. It's the first album in 8 years by Die Ärzte, and I'm a big fan of them, so awesome. Glad to see they are back. And I hope you enjoyed this video as well. If so, feel free to tell me by leaving a like, by sharing this with other people that might also be interested in those topics, in Die Ärzte, German songs translated, German songs explained, or just simply like the German language, learning German in a way, in a more abstract way, I guess. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate that. I'm your Vlog Dave. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.